It began with a storm. The wind howled through the narrow alleys of Dharavi like a wounded animal. Rain fell in sheets, slamming against the metal roofs and turning the dusty ground into rivers of mud. Plastic bags and rags fluttered in the wind, like torn flags. It was the kind of monsoon night that made everything feel fragile, the buildings, the people, even time itself. Mira was returning from her evening job at the garment factory, her thin cotton kurta soaked through, her chapals squelching in the water. She clutched a bundle of old textbooks to her chest, protecting them from the rain more than herself. Her skin was cold, her body tired, but her eyes remained alert, always watching, always listening. A sudden cry stopped her, not an animal, not a child, a man's groan. She turned quickly, her heart skipping. The sound had come from the alley, behind the shuttered textile mill, a dark, foul-smelling passage most people avoided after sunset. Mira hesitated only for a moment. Then she stepped forward, pushing past crates and puddles. She found him lying on his side, next to a broken pipe. A man, soaked from head to toe, barely conscious. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead, mixing with the rain and trailing down his cheek. His clothes were torn, his watch cracked, but they were of a quality she had never seen up close. His skin was pale under the dirt. His breathing was shallow. Mira knelt beside him, brushing wet hair from his forehead. "Paya?" she whispered. He didn't respond. She pressed 2 fingers to his neck. His pulse fluttered like a trapped bird. People would say she should have left him. They'd say it wasn't safe, that he could be a criminal or someone dangerous. But Mira had never listened to fear. It had tried to define her too many times already. She stood, ran back toward the tea stall where her younger brother Raju often lingered after dark. She found him quickly, soaking under the awning, and without explaining she begged the chaiwala for his empty pushcart. Together, she and Raju returned to the alley. It took everything they had, slipping, dragging, cursing softly in the rain. But they got him onto the cart. They pulled him through the maze of narrow lanes, past people who gawked, who muttered, who didn't help. They reached their tiny home, barely a room and a half made of tin and wood, where their mother was heating lentils over a small flame, when she saw them at the doorway, soaked, panting, with a strange man unconscious on the cart. She gasped, "Mira, what are you doing? Who is he?" "I don't know," Mira said, brushing hair from her face. "But he needs help." Her mother stared at the man, then at Mira. Her face was lined with weariness and fear. "We don't have space. We don't even have enough dal." "Have enough," Mira replied gently. Together they lifted him into the house. Raju laid a cloth on the floor, and Mira knelt beside the stranger, lighting a candle for warmth and light. Her mother reluctantly handed her antiseptic. They cleaned his wounds. They gave him a blanket. Mira stayed by his side all night, half sleeping, listening to his breath, which rattled unevenly. She didn't know that the man on her floor would change her life forever. On the second day, he opened his eyes. He tried to sit up, groaned in pain, and immediately fell back down. "Don't move," Mira said softly, wiping his forehead with a wet cloth. "You're safe." His eyes moved around the room, confused. "Where am I?" "In my home," she said. "In Dharavi." He blinked. His voice was rough. "Why?" "I found you," she said simply. "In the alley." He looked at her, his eyes dark and unreadable. "You should have left me there." She gave him a small, tired smile. "I don't leave people in the rain." He closed his eyes again. Later, when he was strong enough to sit up with support, Mira offered him a bowl of rice and curry. He hesitated before taking it, as if unsure how to accept something so simple. He ate slowly. "My name is Arjun," he said between bites. "Arjun Bhaiya," Raju chimed from the corner, amused. "You looked like a ghost when Didi brought you in." Arjun chuckled weakly. I felt like one. Mira asked no questions, not about his past, not about what had happened. She simply let him rest. But that didn't stop her from wondering. Each day, Arjun grew stronger. He began sitting outside their shack in the evenings, watching the life of the slum unfold. He saw women balancing water pots, children playing cricket with broken sticks, men sharing jokes by the fire. It was a world so different from his own, raw, loud, full of pain, and somehow beautiful. He followed Mira when she walked Raju to school. He sat with her when she repaired shirts for neighbors. He watched her barter with vegetable vendors and laugh with the old widow who sold bangles. "You're different," he told her once, while they shared a stale biscuit. "Everyone here is different," she replied. "We just don't have time to notice it." He started helping quietly, fixing a loose tile, carrying water. Watching over Raju when Mira was at work, one night, sitting under a plastic tarp while rain drummed above them, he finally asked her, "Why didn't you turn me in? You could have taken me to the police, or at least the hospital." She looked into the darkness. "I thought you might be safer here. You looked hunted." He was silent for a moment. "You were right." Something in the way he said it made her heart ache. It was only much later, after he was gone, that she realized what he had meant. The night he disappeared, Mira didn't sleep. Arjun had been quiet all evening, distant. He hugged Raju a little longer than usual, gave her mother a respectful nod, and when Mira asked him what was wrong, he just smiled and said, "I owe you everything." When she woke the next morning, he was gone. She searched the nearby alleys, asked neighbors, but he'd vanished. She told herself she'd known it would happen. Rich men didn't stay in slums. Maybe he'd been a dream after all. Then the news came. Every newspaper, every radio station. Tech CEO Arjun Malhotra found alive after mysterious disappearance. The photos matched. The man who had eaten her. Mother's cooking and taught Raju chess. He was the billionaire heir of Malhotra Enterprises. They said he'd been kidnapped, assaulted, left for dead. But Mira knew better. He had been running from something, and now he was back where he belonged, among the rich, the powerful, the unreachable. A year passed. The seasons changed. Floods came and went. Mira's shack collapsed in a storm. She moved in with her aunt and took a job at a tailoring shop, working long hours, stitching blouses she could never afford. But every day, she remembered, not his wealth, not the newspapers, the sound of his laugh, the way he looked at her when she spoke, the night he asked why she saved him. She thought it was over, until the car came. Sleek, black, windows tinted. It stopped right outside the shop. She froze, needle still in hand, as the driver stepped out and opened the rear door, and Arjun emerged. Her breath caught. He was thinner, tanned, dressed in a simple kurta and jeans. His hair was longer, but it was him. Her heart knew before her mind caught up. She stood. He walked toward her slowly, nervously, like a boy on his first day of school. "You came back," she said, stunned. "I told you I would." She folded her arms, defensive. "Took you long." "Enough," he laughed softly. "I had to become someone worth returning as." She opened her mouth, but he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. She froze. "You're not— What is that?" He opened it. A ring. Silver, modest but shimmering. "Not yet," he said. "First, I need to tell you something." He took her. And together they sat on the stoop outside the shop, where children chased each other and stray dogs slept in the shade. "I wasn't kidnapped," he said. Mira turned sharply. "What?" "I ran away," he said quietly. "That night I had a deal to close, a board meeting to win, and a wedding I didn't want. I felt trapped. So I walked away. I left my car, my phone, everything. I wanted to disappear." She stared at him. "I thought if I disappeared, maybe I could start again. But then someone mugged me, left me bleeding, and then you found me," Mira whispered. You lied. He shook his head. I didn't. I just wasn't ready to tell the truth. I was ashamed, but you saw me when I was nothing. You helped me anyway. He stood up, offered her his hand again. Come with me, she hesitated. Please, he added. He led her around the corner, past a new path that hadn't been there before. A cleared space, where garbage once lay, now swept clean and paved. In the center of the lot stood a building, new, bright, with wide windows and blue paint. Above the gate, a banner read, Mira Foundation School, for every child who dares to dream. Her eyes widened. She stepped forward, her hand to her mouth. You did this? She asked. We did, he said. You gave me the idea. I just made it real. Tears slid down her cheeks. He took the ring out again. I can't promise you a mansion or diamonds, but I can promise you this, a life where we build something good, together. She laughed through her tears. Is that your proposal? He grinned. It's a beginning. She looked at the school, at the children watching from the windows, and then at the man who had once lain bleeding in her arms. I'll walk with you, she said softly. He slipped the ring onto her finger. And this time, when it rained, they stood in it together, smiling hand in hand, no longer hiding. They had found each other in the storm, and they would never be lost again.